5 p.m. We're going to call the meeting to order. Hannah, could you please take roll?
Mr. Nobles,
Here.
Ms. Bud, here. Mr. Now,
Here.
Mr. Tucker,
Grateful to be here.
Mr. Folden,
Here.
Mr. Fogel, Mr. Pug.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum for the meeting. Before we get into the bulk of the agenda here, just congratulations to all the city appointees, Bob, Gene, Mel, Mitch, and myself for reappointment. It was great to see, to be honest with you. I mean, we've got a good board, and I'm glad that we were able to. Got a great board, and I'm glad we were able to keep it in place. So, you know, it all worked out good for us. So, item 2, approval of minutes. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda changes. Clara, are there any agenda changes? Okay. Public requests, item 4. If any member of the public wishes to provide a comment on any item, the time to do so is now. Please complete a public comment card identifying the item upon which you wish to be heard and provide it to Ms. Nevada. The public comment cards are located at the back of the room. Each member of the public wishing to comment will be provided with 5 minutes to do so. The chair reserves the right to move the public comment opportunity on a specific agenda item to the point in the agenda that item is to be considered and or to extend the allotted time per speaker. And are there any public requests?
There are none at this time.
Thank you. Item 5, consent agenda. There are no items on the consent agenda tonight. Item 6, federal, state, and municipal input. Clara, is there any input?
Okay.
Okay. Item 7. I'm going to turn it over to Jim now to introduce all 3 of the items under the financial reporting for tonight. Jim.
Thank you very much. Yes, under section 7, financial reports, we have 3 things for you tonight. First is our normal April financial report. It's the start of the second half of our fiscal year. I have reviewed all the detailed reports that underline not only our board report, but also the summary report that Robert will give you. Secondly, we'll look at the fiscal year 2025 audit. BRAA Associates is our external auditor, and they've completed the audit for the end of the fiscal year, which was September 30, 2025. And they also audited our investments for compliance with the Florida statutes. David Kaplitsky is here from BRAA Associates, and he'll walk us through the report and the required information. And just a separate note, we did get an unmodified opinion again this year. And we did use some help from our internal auditor, Caroline Binder, the CPA, and helps us from the more technical parts of the audit. And finally, the third part will be the investment report. I think we'll come back again to Robert. It's our annual investment report, and the investment policy mirrors the Florida statutes and limits the institutions and investments that we can make. The primary objective, for those who don't know, for our investment strategy is to safeguard the authority's investment capital and ensure sufficient liquidity to meet the authority standards. And then again, that mirrors state statutes. And with that, I'll turn it over to Robert to start the first section and present the investment report. Excuse me, the report for April.
So, before you is the finance report through April 30th, 2026. Through the end of the month, total operating revenues are approximately 5.3 million, and that's 15.2% above budget year to date. That variance is still driven primarily to fuel flowage. We've been seeing an increase revenue portion of that due to prices. Total operating expenses are approximately 3.4 million. That's about 6.2% below budget year to date. Some of the items to highlight are our office operating expenses, which is down about 15.6%. That's due to the timing of our procurement for the ERP project, the software for that we went out to bid for earlier last month. And that actually closes later this week. So we'll get some bids on that. Project expenses are down about 21%, and that's due to the timing of some of our operating projects, mainly the vertiport and the facilities management plans, some of the billing of those, just a little delayed. And then professional services are down. That's largely due to the lower legal expenses than we were anticipating. So as you can see, the revenue is 5.3 million, and then our expenses 3.4 million. Our net income before depreciation is approximately 1.9 million. So on behalf of the airport management and the Secretary Treasurer, I respectfully present the financial report to the airport authority. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is there a motion to approve the April financial reporting? Second. Any discussion or questions for Rob? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Why don't you, David? And B.
Hello, my name is David Kaplitsky. I'm an audit partner at Brown Associates. I'm pleased to present the fiscal year 25 audit to the board. Thank you very much for choosing us to be the independent auditors of the financial statements. I'm just going to make this a quick, very high level overview, and I'm happy to answer any questions more in detail that the board may have. So first of all, the opinion on the financial statements was an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we can give, and basically means that the financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with GAAP. It's regarding to findings. I'm happy to report that we did not have any findings to report, no material weaknesses or internal control deficiencies. So that's a good thing. As far as items of significance, the most significant transaction or movement in the financials in fiscal year 25 was the acquisition of the lease and sublease, and that made it to the financials and the fixed assets. And so you'll see that in the financials. Overall, the financials, the net position increased about 7.7 million, and it landed at about 187 million at the end of the year. I'd like to thank James, Clara, all the staff at the authority. They were very helpful, providing all the information we needed, as well as Caroline Binder. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any more questions.
Before we get into questions, is there a motion to approve? So moved. And a second? Second. Questions, discussion? Anyone? If not, all in favor of approval of the audit dated September 30th, 2025, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, David.
So before you is the 2026 investment report. As you can see, the total funds of the Airport Authority were 17.64 million as of April 30th, 2026. That's an increase of 52% from 2025. So that's attributable to the ongoing project grant receivables for several projects, but most notable will be the stormwater and the service road project that we're undergoing. Approximately 11.14 million of the investments were in CDs, and we had approximately 5.5 million, which is kept in cash or cash equivalents, and approximately 1.05 million is kept as security deposits for us in the various leaseholds that we have. We do anticipate having about 17.9 million in total funds by the end of the fiscal year. So moving on to the historical balances of the authority's invested funds. This is through April 30th. You can see the number there. The largest factor that drives these changes are going to be the large scale projects that we have. We pay for them out of pocket, and then we get reimbursements at the end. So that when we take money out, the balance is going to go down. When we get the reimbursements, we can put back in and go up. As you can see there, that says 15.7 million for 2026. That is the figure for all of our funds that are in interest-bearing accounts. If you included some of the non-interest bearing, like our operating account, that figure is 17.64 million there. And so here's the historical invested funds as of September 30th. Again, that 16 is going to be the amount of funds in our interest-bearing accounts as of the end of the fiscal year, September 30th. So it is an estimate. And like I previously said, we do anticipate having about 17.9 million if you include what will be in the operating account, which is not getting any interest, so wasn't considered an investment. So as far as interest income goes, we're estimating at the end of the year to have approximately 597,000. It's a slight decrease to budget of about 3%. And that our average annual rate of return in the report shows about 4.15%. That's a slight decrease as of last year, and the decrease in the to budget is due to some lower than expected interest rates, even though they were just slightly lower. So as you can see, the investment, the interest income over time, is 596,000. So we've had a good few years there where it's been pretty high. As expected, the interest rates and the account balances are going to be what drives the differences in the interest income. So on behalf of Secretary Treasurer, I respectfully present the 26 investment report to the authority, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just one comment on the return. I know that, you said we're 3% behind budget, but that 4.15 is, much higher than, for sure money market rates, but even, shorter term CD rates. And I think, we had locked in some rates when they were higher. So we were very, we used the crystal ball properly there. So I mean, that return by today's standards is very good. So and this item doesn't require any board approval, so it's just presented for information. So are there any other questions or comments for Rob? Good job. Thank you, Rob. Okay. Scott, tenant reports and request, Atlantic Aviation Parking Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you've driven over the Spanish River Bridge or looked out the window this afternoon, you'll have noticed a brand new section of Atlantic's ramp is torn up as part of their redevelopment. This section of the ramp is where Lynn University normally houses their aircraft. So to accommodate their operation during the construction, Atlantic arranged to have them relocated to the hotel ramp, which is bottom left corner here in the picture. So all their aircraft are over there, which is quite a far distance from the flight school. So in the meantime, Atlantic requested to use some of the parking spots at Customs to facilitate the students and the flight instructors. Customs doesn't need parking spots. They're not technically part of their lease with us. They were just required by virtue of the square footage of the building. As you may have heard from some of the city council meetings, there's an opinion that Boca Raton is largely overparked. Our Customs facility certainly is. So we're happy to accommodate them, and they've been parking there since the beginning of the month when the construction started. In keeping with best practices, if we're going to use airport property, even in the short term, we expect some sort of return on that investment. So we did an environmental scan. But similarly situated facilities such as Brightline and other transportation options that offer a monthly rate. What we landed on was $150 per space. They'll be using 6 spaces, so that comes out to $900. We expect they'll only need it for maybe another 2 to 3 months, depending on how construction goes, and as long as we stay out of the rainy season. So airport management recommends approval of resolution 0513 05-14-26, approving the license agreement subject to completion. Well, it's already been completed by legal counsel and execution by Atlantic. There is a complete copy printed out for you. We were scrambling to get it together at the last minute, but it's a fairly simple agreement. There's really nothing that jumped out at any of us, so.
So as I read the, request for a motion, just note that, the motion is to approve the parking agreement subject to execution by Atlantic. In substantially the same form.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Any questions or discussion, Gene?
We have 6 spaces, is that what we're discussing here?
Correct.
How do those people get from 6 spaces back to where they belong?
Well, they drive from the flight school down to the 6 spaces parked into the airfield, get into the plane, go punch holes in the sky, come back land, and then exit the aircraft, back to the cars, and then back up to the place.
They walk back to the cars?
Correct. It's very close, as you can see, it's a matter of a few hundred feet.
To if they pick them up at customs.
That's where the Lynn aircraft are. They're on the bottom left of that ramp space.
Okay. I
And
understand.
the red square is where the spots are, so it's just a matter of entering through gate 9 and then getting to the aircraft, and Len did badge pretty much all of their flight instructors, which was quite a few.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 9, Executive Director and staff reports. Operations and noise abatement, report for April 2026, Lionel.
Mr. Chair, good afternoon, this is Romero, Operation Coordinator. For you is the operation noise event for the month of April 2026. In the month of April 2026, there were 9,431 operations, which is a 22% increase from operation of April. In April, 1 BAP TFR being implemented in Mar-a-Lago, total of 177 aircraft operations were recorded during the TFR days for the month. And comparing the TFR operation during last month to April of 2025, they decreased by 84%. Jet A deliveries increased by 10% compared to April of 2025, and AGA delivered increased by 136% compared to April. There were 4 households that filed noise concerns in April 2026, which was on the noise hotline and the online noise reporting form. During the month of April 2026, Customs had 183 aircraft clearings, which is a decrease from the 290 total clearings during April of 2025. And there was 2 vessels clearings for the month. These 183 aircraft arrived from 23 different countries. There were 20 after-hours clearings for the month. And for April 2026, the observation area received approximately 933. This concludes the operation report for the month of April 2026. Happy to answer it.
Any questions for Lionel? Thank you. Item 9B, a contract award, Travis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In early March, an invitation to bid was released for taxiway geometry improvements and runway 5 holding bay rehabilitation. Bid closed in early April with 4 bids received by the time of closing. And after a thorough review by airport management and the design team, it was determined that General Asphalt Company LLC was the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, and recommend award pending FAA grant application. Just for a point of context, these are, from a grant perspective, are being treated as 2 separate projects. However, it makes the most sense to bid it as one, and for construction purposes and to minimize the impact to the airport. And so as a release is, base bid 1 was the taxiway geometry improvements. Grant acceptance for FAA is anticipated. The board recalls that any grants for the FAA actually have to have bids in hand approved, whereas FDOT, you can already accept the grant prior to going out to bid. So at the FAA has allocated approximately $1.1 million, which is about 90% rate. The remaining funds be split between us and FDOT in that particular project. And that base bid came in at approximately $1 million. And then base bid number 2 is 100% FDOT. So they have allocated approximately $700,000 to that at 80%, and we're on the hook for the remaining 20. And that portion of the bid came in at approximately $275,000. So there's enough grant funding pending the allocation to us once the bids are in hand with them. So with that being said, airport management recommends resolution of approval resolution number 051526, awarding a contract to General Asphalt Company LLC in the amount of nearly $1.4 billion. And we do have a representative here from Asphalt if you should have any questions with that.
Before that, is there a motion to approve the resolution? Now, questions, comments? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Trevor. What's the timing of that project in total?
We expect, once we provide we've already done a pre-application with the FAA, so once we have approved, bid in hand with the resolution, we can send that off to the official application to them and hopefully get turned around in the June-July timeframe. With anticipated construction start not long after that, so late summer. And on the FDOT portion, we anticipate if they're on schedule to be bringing the grant acceptance for that FDOT grant to next month's meeting.
Okay.
If not, at the latest July, it'll be over. So we have hopefully both of them in hand by this time next month.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Item 9C. Boca Raton Airport Authority, property insurance, renewal. Scott?
Just 1 second, I think we need a motion to authorize the executive director to accept that FAA grant when it is offered.
Yes, as you'll recall, they sometimes have a very quick turnaround.
Yep.
And I have the authority to accept previous, another grants. We're not sure. So just to cover our basis, if it's okay, a motion to authorize the executive director to accept the FAA funds when offered.
Okay, is that all the wording we need in that, Amy? Okay. Do we have a motion for that? So moved. Second, Cheryl. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Item C, Scott.
All right, item C, this one is an insurance renewal for the property insurance for the airport authority. It is in the amount of $85,658.54. That's a little under $21,000 cheaper than last year. That rate reduction is largely due to just the lack of any claims for the last almost decade or so. And Alex Blodgett, our insurance broker, is here in the audience if you want any of the nitty-gritty details behind the actuaries, because I'm certainly not that adept at it, but we just request a motion to approve the property insurance renewal.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any questions, comments for Scott or Alex?
Oh, is it the same insurance?
Yes, actually, lower deductible. The deductible on the hurricane is down to 3% or 85,000.
And Alex, this is reflect not only just no claims, but just in general. Insurance is going down in the
Yeah,
state.
it's very soft.
Yeah, yeah. So,
It was soft last year, it came down, and it's soft again this year.
right, and because there's an El Nino predicted this year, they're saying there's gonna be a less chance of major hurricane. Very strong in this, yeah. So hopefully next year we can have another 20%. Whatever. Good luck.
Yeah.
Hey, wishful thinking.
Okay, we have, any other questions or comments? We have a motion in the second, all in, favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 10. Authority board member requests and report. Do any board members have any other items they'd like to bring up or discuss? Gene.
Yeah, I noticed that, we got noticed that the customs phone was out of order for like 5 days. My question is, if that phone is out of order and they call the after hours number, would that substitute for that?
It would not substitute for that because that goes to a separate individual than the officer that's actually manning the facility. So we had offered to set up another forwarding number to customs, to forward it to directly to that agent's cell phone. They declined to use that procedure and said that they preferred to handle any request via email.
I understand that we have two people providing service there. We have AT&T, I believe, provides the internet and somebody else provides the phone service. Is that correct?
Correct. AT&T is the ISP, the internet service provider, and Xtiva is the company that provides the VoIP platform.
Why are we using two providers?
That is just how it's been set up. I'm not aware that AT&T has a separate VoIP platform. And I know they've been going away from hardline lately. They actually converted that facility from hardline to a fiber connection. We are looking at a different VoIP provider for both the customs facility, the admin building, and the tower, which is another benefit to using three parties because here we don't have AT&T, we have Comcast, and we have fiber. AT&T at tower or AT&T at customs, and they get our internet from this building down at the tower. So it makes sense to use one platform for all three.
Can you tell me what the cost between the total of the two providers is on a monthly basis?
That I do not have off the top of my head, but we can certainly get it for you if you'd like. I don't know if you know, Rob.
Yeah, I have to break it out for it.
Well, the reason I mention it, if we have fiber to that facility, AT&T can provide, and we're using this voice over IP, which is, when you have fiber, you don't need that. AT&T can provide you with high-speed internet and telephone line for less than $100.
For a business package.
Yes, I use it myself.
Well, that's certainly something we can look into. We are exploring additional internet options for that facility. Traditionally, it's only been AT&T along Airport Road, but there's been some new providers go in. And we do like to have two services, such as here I've mentioned, we have Comcast and we have FiberNet. That way we have redundancy in case something goes awry.
Yeah, I'm being more specific. Yes, I pay $105 for telephone service with 20 options on the telephone service, like call forwarding if the line's not working. As well as high-speed internet.
Okay, yeah, if you can send us that information, we'll have to look into it.
Well, the call forwarding exists now, but
The
they
call
didn't
forwarding
say
does
they
exist.
want
They
that
didn't
option.
want to utilize that option, as I mentioned.
Which is their prerogative, that's.
Okay, just trying to
Yeah, no, but that's great.
provide good service.
So we're always looking to save money where we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Gene.
Yeah.
Jim?
I had one thing, it wasn't on our agenda, but I think it's worth noting for our audience and here at the airport. Our hurricane preparedness plans to come in hurricane season was released to us, and I believe based on what I read, all of our tenants here. So Leonel, thank you for that, and I thought it was a very good plan and it makes a lot of sense and comprehensive, so I feel good about where we stand. I'm glad we're communicating that to the community. Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, big point. You know. Anyone else? Anything else? Item 11, public comment. Anna, any requests for public comment?
Sure.
Other business, is there any other business, come before the board? We have. Go ahead, Gene.
I just hate to see us leave through this in less than a half hour. What are you gonna do a song? I would just like to say happy birthday to you two.
Birthday?
No.
2 days, right?
No, my birthday's in December.
Mine's on Friday.
But,
okay.
Anyway, enjoy it.
Happy birthday.
That was
Rob
another
Pratt.
presentation.
Rob Pratt? had a birthday on Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
He's hiding back in the corner.
How old is he? 16, 18?
Yeah.
There, I'll go down.
Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for June 17th, 2026 at 5 P.M. We'll probably potentially look at if the cards align properly with agenda items, potentially hiatus in July, but that will be determined. TBD. So with that, if there's nothing else, we stand adjourned. Thank you all. 30 minutes.
Friday. I'm not. Okay, good. Yeah, you're right on.
Right.
Yeah.